Good evening and welcome to the Recreation Litchfield Commission meeting tonight, April 22nd. Start with a call to order. We got member Andy Ruggles.
Present.
Member Steve Weber.
Present.
Vice Chair Peter Ames.
Present.
Secretary Justin Brunel.
Present.
Member Judy Brennan.
Present.
I'm Chris Burns, the head chair. I'm present, absent with notice as Jeff Town and Bob Leary. I'll ask everybody to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we've got a couple of additions to the agenda tonight. We'll start with the tree at Dara Pond. If John, if you want to.
Sure. I appreciate it.
So, for the record, John Brunel, I'm the IT Director and Communications Coordinator for the town. As you all know, that we have a public safety receiver site and transmitter site down at Roy Memorial that we put up 5 years ago. And what we've been experiencing since about fall last year has been some single degradation between our microwave link between Roy Memorial and our main site up at Colonial Park, off of Colonial Drive. So unfortunately, the tree I showed you in the picture has to come down. We thought about lopping the top off, but then we were advised that if we lop the top off, it'll probably die in a few years, and it's probably better just to take it all down. So I'm just here to ask, to make sure you guys are good with it. It's outside the fence. It's not going to impact your field or any of the property there. It's in the town right away, so the town does have the right to take it. And there's no cost to you. I'm taking care of the expense, unfortunately. So again, it's more informational, but if if there's any concerns, certainly ask. I don't anticipate any other trees. There was no other trees in this line site. There was a tree that was there 5 years ago. It was not that tall, so it grew a little bit. And that's it. So.
Anybody have any questions or concerns?
And Andy, if you want to tie yourself to it, go ahead.
That was my favorite tree in Litchfield.
Being public safety, I say take it down.
Yeah.
You can take it down and dump it at his house, so.
I think
You can
I
replant
would
it.
prefer it if you could pick it and replant it somewhere.
Do you have money in your budget to do that? I'll take it down. It's a nice tall tree, unfortunately. It's got to be almost 100 and somewhat feet, so.
Yeah.
It's not bushy enough to go to Rockefeller Center for Christmas.
It's a big old pine tree that's a stick.
Yeah.
I know. Like I said, it surprised me. I saw it, they pointed it out, and it's definitely something that's a source of the problem, not all the problem.
Are there any other trees in that area that could be a potential problem in a couple of years?
The next tallest tree beside it is short, so I'll be
Significantly short.
long gone and probably in the ground somewhere, maybe, hopefully. Not hopefully, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
Maybe where the tree was.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just wondering if it makes sense to take down a couple of them while you're doing it.
Yeah. if I noticed any.
No, I mean, that would open up the park with a lot more street access, or you
Yeah.
see the rest, so probably not a good idea in general. But like I said, this will solve my immediate problem and probably be safe for another 10 years.
All right, good.
So.
I'll entertain a motion to grant the permission to take
I'll
down the
make a
tree.
motion to take down the tree on the outside of the fence on the grouse line side of the park.
I will second.
Any further discussion?
Just a question, anything we need to be mindful of with the butters? Looks like it's on the road, so there's no.
It's in our
property.
right of way, and there's no butters next to it. It's right
So
on your fence line, which is
Yeah.
right adjacent to the road.
Yeah, it's not on the abutters
If it's
property.
down on our property, I don't think we even have to vote on it, do we?
Yeah, I only came here as a courtesy. I mean, at the end of the day,
Okay.
the town could take it down. I just didn't want you to have it go down and go, what happened to the tree, right? So again, you guys maintain the property, and, if it was inside the park, I think it'd be more of a concern, I suppose, but.
Yeah.
Again, it's a
Hey,
courtesy.
anything somebody else is maintaining for us is great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes 6-0-0.
And then one other interruption, or one other agenda item. Just be FYI, the fire panel at Town Hall is being upgraded.
Okay.
Not upgraded totally, but a new dollar is being put in, so just be aware, you may see that activity going on. They're working around pickleball, there's no impact there, it's in the office. Secondly, there's an electrician coming in to add another circuit on the third sub panel to get power directly to that cabinet that's mounted on the wall for all the equipment, just to kind of get it off the extension cord.
You know when that'll be?
They were supposed to be there for the fire panel today, but I suspect it's tomorrow. But it'll be
Okay.
during the day with pickleballs in this, so they'll have access, and
Okay.
I'll certainly let you know when it's finished. As far as electrician, we're waiting for some conduit to come in, and once that's in, we'll get that scheduled. It'll probably happen over the weekend. The issue is I gotta get a ladder that gets up on the top of the office.
Yeah.
So I got a con fire department come over and help me get that, so.
Are they doing anything with the intrusion alarm system there?
So I did have him he has taken a look at it. He hasn't told me if he found anything wrong with it.
I haven't heard any other complaints about the door or the keypad
Okay.
chirping. I know I shut the chime off on it.
Yeah,
Did
it was
they,
off
did
when I
they
went to-
repair anything or look in it yet?
He took the panel apart just to see if it was, because I think someone also told me the buttons weren't always active, but they were working functionally fine. I'll ask him again if he's out there tomorrow to make sure he double checked it.
I had a feeling it might have been an issue with the contact on that front door,
Front door.
Um,
Okay.
but, yeah,
We'll ask him again.
okay.
It's probably, that system is fairly old. Matter of fact, the internal parts we can't even get anymore. We have the same system at the town hall.
Okay,
So we're looking at upgrading those at some point. but
Yeah.
With default budget, we really can't do much at this point.
right.
So. Okay,
All right,
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
folks. Have a
Thanks,
good
John.
night. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
See you, John.
I had a couple things, additions to the agenda
Okay,
that we can hit later. One is just the impact fees update, pickleball impact fees, and then what we have new in impact fees, and then ropes course removal.
okay.
Wherever
We'll-
you want to
we'll
put
add
them.
We'll add those in, so. Impact fees, ropes course, you said, and what was the other
Yep.
one?
Ropes course removal, that's it.
Oh, that was it, just two?
Update of impact fees, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll add those in to new business when we get there, but before we move on to that, one other addition will be to vote Judy as an alternate, right? Or as a
I
member?
have to,
Vote you as a member until somebody else joins.
until someone comes along, and then I'll move to, yeah. And then, so if you vote me as a member, I'll go get
Reinstated, yeah.
reinstated.
Okay,
Yeah, we have-
Sworn
we
in.
have to, yeah, we have to send it to Kim, so
Yeah.
it goes in front of the board of selectmen.
Yep. And that, I think they meet next week. So then I'll just go get sworn in, and then if we have someone who comes along and wants to be a full-time member, I'll still stay active, like I said, whether I'm alternate or full-time. I just won't feel as guilty missing meetings if I'm on alternate.
all right, I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Judy as a full member.
So moved.
Second?
All right, any other discussion? For what it's worth, the person that was interested can't make it work right now with their work schedule,
Okay,
so that's gonna be probably down the road.
okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained,
I'll abstain.
passes 501. All right, we'll move along and add the rest of this stuff into new businesses. But next, we have the approval of the minutes from April 8th. I know that that just went out, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
Did anybody have a chance to review that?
Yep.
Yep.
Any alterations or
I didn't see any.
No issues.
motion to accept those now?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Any other discussion? No?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? All right, they're approved, 501. We'll open up public input and close it because nobody is here. So, public hearing, update of the fee schedule proposal.
So you gotta open the public hearing, then you gotta
Open the
close
public
it,
hearing.
yeah.
Okay, so do we need a motion to do that?
Yeah.
All right. So,
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing regarding the updated fee schedule.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, public hearing is open, 600.
And the public's not really interested.
They don't seem to care.
Maybe it's because we're making money on it.
Yeah.
So I have it available now, but for hearings, I believe we need to read changes. That's what it is for bylaws.
Yep.
Is it for whole policy or?
I'd say for the record, just read the whole policy back in.
Yep.
Yeah, then we at least have it for the hearing, even though there's
Yep.
nobody here.
All right, so with your permission, I'll
Yes, go right ahead.
just take a little story time. So this is the amended facilities use procedures for the Litchfield Recreation Commission fee policy. So regulations and fee schedules governing rental and use of Litchfield recreation facilities. We have fee categories. The following organizations and/or groups shall not be charged a fee to use the town recreational facilities in Litchfield. Number one, Town of Litchfield organizations, parentheses, Police, Fire, Conservation Commission, Recreation Commission sponsored events and groups, end parentheses. Number two, Litchfield-based recreation organizations. Number three, Litchfield School District organizations. Number four, other Litchfield-based nonprofit organizations whose membership consists of a majority of Litchfield residents. Number five, Litchfield community groups such as cultural, recreational, fraternal, patriotic, service, and duly established charitable organizations. The following categories may be assessed a fee to use recreational facilities in Litchfield according to the regulations governing fees below and the attached fee schedule. There are three categories, A, B, and C. A, established recreational organizations with less than 50% participants from Litchfield, non-Litchfield-based community groups such as recreational, cultural, recreational, fraternal, patriotic, service, and duly established charitable organizations. B, private promoters receiving a percentage of the profit and sponsored by groups identified in Category A. For-profit groups are requested to donate a portion of profit to the league or recreation revolving fund. C, all other non-Litchfield-based groups, including but not limited to religious organizations, political organizations, or private promoters for their own exclusive profit. Below is attached a fee schedule identifying all categories. Certainly it's better as a visual, so I will try to verbalize as it reads. We list the recreational properties, and then the three categories for those properties that we just went through above, and the fees assessed. Roy Memorial Park per field, Category A, $50. Category B, $150. Category C, $200. Litchfield Park at Sawmill per field, $50 for Category A. Category B, $100. Category C, $200. Town Hall, Category A, $75. Category B, $200. Category C, $300, with additional $35 per hour as needed for custodial staff. Kurt Schaefer Memorial Park per field, Category A, $50. Category B, $100. Category C, $200. Scott Ennis Memorial Park per field, Category A, $50. Category B, $100. Category C, $200. And Justin Bissett Memorial Park per field, Category A, $50. Category B, $100. Category C, $200. Regulations governing the fees. There are 6 listed. Number 1, a fee schedule is outlined for categories A, B, and C. Number 2, fees will be assessed in full and must be paid within 30 days of the invoice date. 3, refunds will not be permitted for cancellation. If the Recreation Commission closes a field or facility due to conditions, the fee will be refunded. 4, additional fees may be assessed for costs associated with damage to fields or facilities. 5, the Recreation Commission will approve and periodically review a fee schedule for the use of fields and facilities. 6, fees may be waived by approval of the Recreation Commission. And that is the end of the Litchfield Recreation Commission fee policy.
Should we add anything that states when those fees are due, or?
It says 30 days
30 days.
From the invoice, yep.
invoice.
Okay, 30, okay,
And
monthly, that's right, all
Are
right.
these fees for a certain amount of time, or is it for the full day?
Full
or-
day.
Full day,
Full day.
full day, yep. You nailed it.
I thought we had talked about
We have.
block there.
Thanks for doing the work on this.
Yeah, I know, it's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
You're finally there.
I think so.
Almost.
Unless you want to track it.
Absolutely not.
Do you have any other questions or concerns? All right, so,
I'll make a motion to approve the fee schedule as stated.
I'll second.
any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? That's a 6-0. Thanks for your work on that, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Do we have to close the public hearing?
Close public hearing, yeah.
So I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I will second.
All right, all those in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Passes 6-0. All right, so we'll move on to the facility and field request, of which we have one, which is the LRBL basketball requesting to use the outdoor courts at Roy Memorial Park from June 16th to August 22nd, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 PM to 8:30. Looking at you, but you're not the secretary anymore. Do we know if their COI is on file?
It's on file.
Okay.
It does expire on 6/8,
Okay, so
so
we
I'll
will,
respond to them and let them
we
know.
will need them to update
Yep.
that before they use that for sure. No, but I don't think anybody else has requested those courts, right?
At the courts.
No, they usually do it every summer.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll take a motion to approve their request.
So moved.
I will second.
All right, any other conversation?
I think just to keep in mind, we only have the 2 outdoor courts. I think last year they went Monday through Friday, and they do get used a lot. There's almost people all the time. So that's just something to keep in mind, whether if we're going to allow, every night of the week for them to be reserved, that maybe in the CIP, or we think about adding a 3rd court that's not reservable, that's open to the public. I just hate to see all of our properties become able to be reserved for all the leagues and not open to residents, because they do pay the taxes too that cover those things. And I know some things have had to go by the wayside, like men's basketball league, or, if a group wanted to get a men's summer league going one night, we wouldn't be able to do that outside. And the reason I do focus on some of the older ages is that we already know in Litchfield, we have more people over the age of 50 than we have under 18. More people are staying. And so we need to be committed to all. Our mission statement says we are committed to all ages and abilities. But just something to keep in mind, those outdoor courts get used a lot just by giving kids something to do. And we don't have our playgrounds are really geared toward young kids. So if they're over there trying to find something to do, they're climbing on top of the swings or whatever. So maybe that's something we look at in the CIP, that we do add another court somewhere that's not reservable, but just so that for general residents who are not part of a league and they want to, go over and.
Especially with the lower ropes course coming down, it's
Yeah,
gonna give us more
yeah.
property. It's pretty flat over
Yeah.
there. I thought we had the same conversation last year.
We did.
Didn't we
We
do?
did.
We didn't do anything for it. I thought we were talking about keeping one of the courts open.
We did, we gave it to them and asked them to let us know when they weren't, so we could keep the schedule updated, and there were days, if it was rainy or the heat, it was too hot. But the thing is with the courts there is kids can ride their bikes there, so it's easy to go. There's a half court at Campbell, but older kids don't want to play at that. And, there's one down at GMS too, but that's not really a safe area for kids to go and ride their bikes, and kids do ride their bikes down.
Right, but
to
yeah, there's a
there.
lot of people on
So just
bicycles
something to
there.
keep in mind for future planning, that I don't want to see everything become reservable, and then the residents who, the rec used to keep I don't know if it was 12 to 4 or 2 to 6 on Sunday. All fields were open if people wanted to go play pickup softball or wiffle ball or baseball. I just hate to see everything we have become reserved all the time, and
I see,
people show
yeah.
up to, to throw some hoops or whatever, and it's taken every night, so.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Their request is granted, 6-0.
The fields are all, the courts are all cleaned up now for them. Everything's blown off there, and the outside looks good too.
Yeah.
The edge, the rim.
All right, moving on to new business. We have to authorize the purchase of bases and pitching plates for the softball field. So Justin and I went in front of the Board of Selectmen last week, and one of the topics that came up, I'd asked Bob Leary to look into the option of using the revolving fund to purchase some equipment down there, and the thought is that, you know, these leagues, club teams and the schools and everything coming in and using the fields, you know, that the rec teams and leagues shouldn't have to let them use their equipment because they're the ones that pay for it, they're the ones that maintain it.
Wear and
So
tear.
as a rec committee or as a town, we should provide that, as part of the fee. And, you know, they can put in the storage box there by the field and, use that instead of having to go into the softball shed. So I've priced that up. The Board of Selectmen was in favor of using the revolving fund, for up to $2,500 to buy 2 sets of the bases and 2, temporary or removable pitching
Is
plates.
that like
That we
one
can
set
pull
for
up.
softball, one set for baseball?
2 sets for softball down there.
And what about the groups that use the baseball?
I don't know what
Yeah.
equipment they have as far as the brands go or how those work, but
They're cemented in. The bases are baseballs, and
Okay. So they stay in place, they're not removable?
no, they are removable. But we've been working with the groups if they
So
want to use them.
baseball allows the groups to
They
use
allow
those.
one group so far.
It depends on the group.
Yeah.
Correct. Because there was a group we said no to.
There was.
I guess my struggle is we're going to use taxpayers' dollars to give bases to for-profit organizations.
Yeah, that's my problem.
I mean, right now, LGSL has voted to allow the schools to use their stuff and give access to their equipment. So now we're coming down to, are we going to allow for-profit organizations that are collecting funds to use equipment that's paid by taxpayers' dollars? And I don't think that's a good,
Well,
you know, good part of our taxpayer dollars. And where does it stop, right? If we do it for bases and pitching plates, what happens if lacrosse says, no, they don't want nets? Are we going to go out and buy nets? I know, so I mean, these people are paying money to use our fields, and they should bring the equipment that's needed in order to go do it.
I also think we don't bring in enough money right now to cover the cost
Yeah.
of, I don't think we bring in
No.
2,500 to cover the cost of that equipment. So even though we're charging, it's still costing us money if we were bringing in enough. But like you said too, so what if, yeah, you know, soccer says, well, we don't want school using our nets anymore.
Yeah.
They need to get their own or whatever. Do we have to provide for, I didn't even think of that, but I was just
Correct, I
thinking, I
mean,
don't know that we're bringing in
in-
enough
Well,
money.
are
When
there-
taxpayers
are
go
there
to-
outside clubs that come in for soccer or lacrosse or anything like that? There's,
Well, we do have
Well,
clinics that get
church,
run.
Tabernacle.
Yeah.
Tabernacle, we have clinics that get run down there,
Yeah.
so I mean, I just don't see how we use taxpayer money to buy equipment for for-profit organizations. I mean, we're supposed to be good stewards of it. We just had long discussions about how to pay for porta potties, but we're gonna go take taxpayer dollars and help out for-profit organizations. It just doesn't seem like the right use of funds as stewards for taxpayer dollars.
Did softball not allow them to use their stuff? Is that
Softball does not want
Their
any
stuff, no.
for-profit organization using their equipment. They're allowing the town, and the schools, because it's the town and the school to go for. They won't want anybody into their, access into their sheds, into their equipment. I guess they have stated that they'll allow the gang box to be used at the 12U field, they'll take the
Right.
log off of that. Or if somebody had more equipment they wanted, the shed that the tarps are stored in, the old concession stand, that they're willing to allow people to store things in that also.
so? Could they put the bases in the, or they're just like, no, we don't.
they
want
don't,
those?
yeah, they
They
don't
don't
want
want,
the bases.
they don't want anybody using, because if anything happens to it, they have to replace it. If it walks
Right.
away, they have to replace it.
I understand that, I do.
Yeah.
And they're using their league funds to cover those things.
You know, and as the girls get older, they use metal cleats too, which really dig up
Yeah.
the pitching plates. So,
I feel like if we were bringing in enough money into the revolving fund from the rentals, then I'd be more inclined to say, get a set at baseball, get a set at, you know, a set at softball or whatever. But if it's, you know, people are like, well, you did it for softball and you got 2 sets. Baseball wants to preserve their stuff, or soccer wants to preserve their nets when there's clinics put on by somebody else or
Yep.
something. Then it's gonna,
I think you were gonna say something too.
Yes, just, I appreciate the point about how we use our funds here. This is coming out of the revolving funds, so we do feel a bit differently, because that's, you know, a fair amount of that is donation money, so not taxpayer money. And we have the discretion to use that, which we should be mindful of, right, because that can offset other things that may be more impactful to our budget elsewhere. You know, certainly I appreciate what the leagues have done and as far as supplying labor, other facility improvement pieces that are completely off budget. So that makes me feel good that I know that we've got a reciprocal relationship with them. And I do feel better about using the revolving fund. This is not coming out of our budget. So I don't think it's head-to-head against a more pressing need. So it sounds like the select board was in favor of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Yeah,
board
that's
said it's not their decision. They said it's
Yeah.
it's an allowable use of funds,
Okay,
but it's not up to them. It's up to the rec commission on how the funds get allocated.
gotcha. Okay. Do we know what our balance is in the revolving?
26,000-ish. Yeah.
Does that include Spirit of Litchfield's money
Yes.
too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my whole thing is with how bad the budget got cut, how the selectmen got cut, I mean, they're looking at every possible way to go do it. If our pump system goes up at one of the fields and we have to replace a whole well, I mean, who knows what's gonna get cut out of our budget, because they have police cruisers they have to go worry about. I mean, they have so many other things they have to worry about. They're actually asking all of us to go back to the proposed budget that failed and try to run off of that. So I just don't think with the, you know, with the finances we're in as a town right now, that it's the right thing to go use for the funds. I mean, because something could come up. I mean, we could use a lot of those funds to fix the floor at Talent. I mean, there's a lot of other things that could go, and as I said, these organizations make lots of money. I know it, you know, we
Yeah.
pay into these organizations for our children to play. I mean, a set of bases should be nothing to them. And how do we give equipment for them to use the fields, and we don't give equipment for our taxpayers to go use the field, right?
Right. Our own rec teams we don't provide it.
We
for
don't
them.
provide that, but I'm
We
just
don't
thinking,
provide
I'm thinking if a
basketballs.
family wants to go down there of an outing, right, they don't have access to bases, they have to come and throw down bases. And they're paying more to the fields than these other organizations coming in, because they're paying it within their taxes.
Well, entertain a motion if we want to discuss it further. Shoot it down, whatever.
We have to do a motion and second it anyway
Yep.
before we vote.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion. I don't remember what all the numbers were.
The,
What did I say?
it was up to $2,500.
Up to $2,500 to spend on
Bases and pitching plate.
bases and pitching plates for,
2 sets for Roy Memorial.
for the for-profit teams.
Well, it's just
Use
for
the
the
field.
field.
For the
For
fields.
rec to
For
provide.
the, yeah,
Oh,
for rec to be
okay.
provided.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? All right, fails 1-4-1. All right, we need to authorize the funds for the portables for 2025 out of the revolving fund. Again, Justin and I discussed this with the Board of Selectmen. They were all in favor of using the revolving fund to pay for the balance, excuse me, pay for the balance of the portable contract for the remaining 2025. I don't have the figures right in front of me. It's gone up a little bit since we added those.
It's what, $8,000? or something?
Yeah, it was around $8,000, since we added those 2 handicap units to replace the,
I have a quick question about that process, and I don't know who can answer it, if any of you. So, we have a bottom line budget.
Yep.
Could we have sat in a meeting ourselves and said, looked at our budget and said, I think we can move 2,000 from here and this amount from revolving fund ourselves?
Yes,
Because we have we can,
we could
okay.
have, yes, we could have, yes.
So
I didn't know
if
if
we
it
had
had
known
to.
it, we could have done it and said, we're gonna allocate these funds to go pay it, but I don't think any of us sitting here knew that we could go use the funds for that.
Okay,
And I think we wanted to make sure that it was the Board of Selectmen had agreed with the decision as well.
yeah.
So
Like,
that-
this is a
Yes, I
great
think they
use.
needed to know that we felt strongly that we should cover
Correct.
Yeah,
portables
this is a
and
great use
why.
of those funds, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this
As
is
we've
really
seen
a
one-
good use of
But-
them. It takes a problem off Selectmen's plate, our plate. I
Yeah.
mean, we're still gonna have to address it next year.
the concern is next year.
Next year,
Exactly.
right? But at least this year, we can get it funded and we're not putting the burden
Because
on
when
anybody
I was
else.
listening, I was watching, and you spoke very well.
Thank you.
By the
Yeah,
way.
you guys did a great job.
And,
Appreciate it.
But then, like Kim was mentioning, well, you can do this and you can do that, and I was, just in the back of my mind, I was like, I think we could, as a group, because we know where we spend more money, less money, and I was just wondering, like, can we make those decisions on our own and say, this is where, I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with where the funds are coming from, but I just wondered as the commission, if we were able to sit and make those moves within the budget like ourselves.
Yeah,
we could
my-
take that.
Well, the moves in the budget, I
I mean,
don't
we,
think.
we had the opportunity to do that, going back to square one, I think. And
Yeah.
the budget committee is the one that, addressed the portables is
Yeah.
probably I want to say the most sense, but, the one line item that would at least cover what they were looking to do.
Yeah,
But, yeah, I think,
I
this-
just
think
wondered,
this kinda
that's
makes
all.
sense.
Yeah, it's not our budget, it's the selectmen's budget, right? We present to them as a department on what we
Right.
think it is, and they move it around. When it's all said and done, it's their budget.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're allocated X amount of dollars, and the reason we try to keep everything on the lines, so then you can start looking if you're overspending or underspending.
Right.
Because at one point, right when COVID hit, we went to zero-based budgeting. We stripped everything down. We said, don't look at history. Everybody come to us and let us know what you think it is and justify why you need the
Yeah.
lines at what you are. And we shifted a lot of money when I was a selectman back then, and we found a lot of areas where we could actually pick up money. So it's always good to go back and use zero-based budgeting, but if you're not really allocating to the right line, you never know what your expenditures were.
Right.
And there was a time when things were just
Before
pushed.
budget looks at our budget next year, we could sit and say, oh, we think we could take 2,000 from here, and like we could make some of those adjustments.
I think that'd be a healthy discussion to have, so when we do present to the budget committee, we're all on the same plate, and this is where we feel the monies are coming from and where we need it.
Now, can we have a working meeting with something like that if we want to look at our budget and think about where we want to move numbers, or does that have to be done in?
Whenever we meet as a collective whole, it has to be in a public forum.
Okay.
Now, if we don't have a quorum, that's different.
So if we said we're going to have 2 people on, or 3 people on rec.
Yeah, and then we're gonna come back and
Who are
present.
good with numbers, right?
Yep, and we're
okay.
gonna come back and present, and when we present to the whole entire commission,
Yeah.
that's when it would have to be
It's
a public
hard to
meeting.
sit and do that when we have everything else. That's why I'm asking in the public.
It's just when we meet as a quorum.
Okay.
So I think, just for clarification, I think we have to do 3,100 under undistributed first, and then the remaining under the revolving fund.
That's right, because we have that extra money, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So it's 3,100 under undistributed, and then,
And that was money that Pickleball, I think, donated
right,
at one point.
then we could
Yeah,
probably do.
years ago, they
Yeah.
gave us a hunk of
And
money.
then, there was, some money in that line item to cover the one at Darren.
was,
I
yes.
don't know how much that
Yeah.
was, so.
That was like 1,700, I
Okay.
think.
That's the handicap one that's always there.
Yeah, I didn't, unfortunately, I left my laptop at home, so I don't have the budget in front of me, but,
I bet it'll be in the Board of Selectmen
yeah.
minutes, because I watched and the numbers were all.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to authorize the funding of the portables for 2025 as outlined in Board of Selectmen's meeting.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes 600.
Who's happy?
So just on that
we were-
topic, should we email the leagues, we were talking about it before we started, we should probably email leagues, let them know that we are covering it, and then what the process is for requesting additional portables?
Yes.
Because that, they have to pay for that.
They
but
have to
we
pay for
They have
additionals
to
for
come through
events,
us to,
Which I think they've done in the past. At least I know softball when they ran.
Contacts
Yeah, baseball has to.
Yeah.
Change every year.
Yeah.
So we gotta make sure.
so if you
I
want,
think
I'll
it's
draft
okay.
up an email, I'll just flip it around, and if you
Sure.
guys have any concerns, just let me know.
That's perfect. And that's actually the next line here is the additional league request for portables, so, thank you. We have to explore the cost of concrete pads for the portables. I think that was a Jeff Town suggestion.
Yeah, it's also softball's been asking,
Something
or not
we've-
softball, sorry, soccer's been asking for it.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about for a while, right? And I think the highway department is willing to go and provide the labor for it, but we'd have to provide the
Concrete.
materials.
So we could reach out to them and get a quote and come back and.
So what do we need, concrete? We need like eye hooks or something? 'Cause we
Concrete
talked
and a
about-
pin, well, you have to look at the
Pin.
portables themselves. Some of them you can actually hook onto them. Other ones, it's just a pin, like a rebar that comes up. And when they put them, they set it on it, so that way you can't push them over.
Okay, so we'd
But
have
I
to
know-
look and see what,
Different porta potties have different securing.
how many, are we looking to do that for all of them? Or just,
I think we should do it for all of them.
yeah.
I think it would make sense.
Does-
Concrete fortunately is not that expensive. I don't know how much we would need though and where all the locations are, but
So
Yeah.
for a 6x6x4 pad, you need 20 80-pound bags,
oh geez.
Yeah,
Well, then I thought
And
it's a
they're-
lot. Wow.
roughly 530 apiece.
So,
So
call
you're-
150 bucks a
150
pad.
bucks
150
a
bucks.
pad.
per pad.
how many
And
portables
I
do we
know
have?
baseball would pay for, it's 2 pads.
2 pads, yeah.
Easily, like, no problem.
And the one at Schaefer gets pushed over more than any of them.
That's why.
Especially being, it was better when it was down the hill next to the shed. When it's at the top of that hill, it's just easy for it to go
So,
down.
what do we, is it just go on the, if a league requests a second one? I mean, are we, that would
Talking
just go
about
on
if
the.
they request an additional?
Yeah,
So those are just temporary, those are for their own
Okay.
events.
I would
so
say
we
for the
don't have
permanent,
If they,
permanent
if they
ones.
request an additional, it's not for the season-long use.
so we won't put,
Yeah,
okay.
it's for
Yeah.
special events
Okay.
like tournaments or,
So the ones that we pay for, we put in.
We would want
So,
to.
I mean, a quick count, you'd have one at Roy, one at Justin, one over at Schaefer, then there's what,
2
one,
at Sawmill,
So
two at Sawmill,
Sawmill, one up at pickleball.
1 at Innis.
one at Innis.
I want a pickleball.
Well, we got 2
Is
at
that the two at
So that'd be
Sawmill?
6 pads would have to do. So we're looking at $1,000 in material.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it, because we have, when they get tipped,
I
it's,
mean, they're gonna probably need some wood and stuff for the.
Can we
floats
take it
or
out of
whatever.
revolving?
Yeah,
Take it out of that?
Yeah.
Keeps it out of our budget and gets it taken care of.
So if they're talking about 1,000, we should probably make it,
increase it for whatever we think the
1,500 bucks,
rebar
just to
or,
have
Okay.
extra.
yeah. Cause it's gonna be, you're gonna need a little more concrete for the,
Handicap ones.
handicap.
yeah.
I'd say 2,000, then we don't have to come back and address it.
So you're gonna need some wood for the floats.
I don't even know how big it would have to be. 6x6 may be bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah.
That seems to make sense.
That's probably for, more for the handicap, would be my guess.
I think if we just allocate 2,000, we know we have more than enough money to go do
Yeah.
it.
That way we don't have to come back and revote and I'd rather go allocate a certain amount and know we're gonna be over than have to come back and say, oh, we need $126.31 more.
What does it cost every time it goes over?
I think it's,
150 bucks?
no, I think it's gone down, I think it's 75.
For cleaning.
But still, I mean.
75's up,
I think
gone over quite-
75
Yeah.
and,
We went years with none of them being tipped, and then all of a sudden, we hit a increase in tipping.
Yeah, the Litchfield hoodlums are out tipping, man.
poor kids climbing
Not
on
much
top of
else
them.
to
I
do.
found kids climbing on top of
We're in
them.
cows in town, so they went for porta potties.
The farm closed, so they went to the porta potties.
Save the cows and tip a porta potty.
I have to say, this company, because, you know, I track when I'm
yeah.
around one, and they do put the date inside, and they've been cleaned and emptied,
That's great.
so.
After the struggles we had for a few years in a row.
Can we make that a board position, a porta potty inspector?
Oh, yeah, now you're looking to give me a new
Wanna sign up for it? Nominate Andy Ruggles.
Yeah,
It's the transition from secretary, you go to.
Porta potty inspector.
but the board doesn't like pictures of whatever you see.
No, I prefer you not.
So, the commission
We'll
doesn't
take your
like
word
pictures.
for it.
Yeah. All right, so what do we wanna do, up to 2,000?
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
Yeah. all
Should be
right.
enough.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to allocate up to $2,000 from the revolving fund for concrete pads for the portables which are covered by the Recreation Commission.
I'll second.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes 600. Steve, you wanna run point on that with the highway department?
Sure.
Just work with them, thank you. All right, moving on, the league contact list. So, Justin, I think you brought up something, a question about,
Who Who do we contact?
contact list for all the leagues and the heads and everything, so I put one together, included, you know, the club teams that use the fields, the special groups like Spirit of Litchfield and everything else. I sent that out to you guys. There were a few positions that I might not have had all the contact information for on there, so if you get a chance to take a look at that, you should all have the ability to edit that. So if there's any groups that you want to add to it, or any contact information or change in,
That's on Drive.
change in department, what's that?
That's on Drive.
It's on Google Drive, yeah. So any change in departments or anything like that, the leadership, you know, feel free to update that as you can. We'll keep that on the Google Drive, and it should be readily available anytime we have to reach out to the leagues or specifically, so. Couple of other new business items. Judy, the impact fee update.
So we have $1,239.25 left in the pickleball budget, and we had encumbered that because the expiration was coming. We encumbered to the end of the project. So we probably want to think about ending that project now. I know we needed to do,
2 walkways.
yeah, some walkways, and then that where they have the mat in the center part where it comes out to make it a legal egress in case of emergency. It's with it just the way it was. Like, all we needed was some kind of gravel or something put there.
Oh, that was one of the walkways I was talking about.
Okay.
I think
And-
we actually, we already approved the expense for those walkways,
Yes.
going way back. We just haven't done anything about it. We had somebody lined up to do it, but it fell through.
Right.
We were gonna use impact fees for that?
For the
It-
walkways,
it's-
yeah, it was part of the
yeah,
project.
it was part of the
Yeah,
project.
It was part of the project. So it was the walkway from the center, from the driveway from the parking lot to the center gate. And then I think a walkway from the gate in the middle, in the back, out in the corner there to the pavilion area.
Yeah, and they had to be handicap
Has
accessible.
to be
if I remember.
handicap accessible. Yeah, I think we need some hard pack or something in that pavilion area as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
from the
something
last
under
building
there,
center.
so
Yeah,
even if we end up with crushed stone or something, so it's
be something.
not grass.
Is that something we
growing
can
up
go to DLB, Hudson Paving, somebody to come in and do it? I mean, do we have enough money allocated for it?
I don't remember how much we allocated for it originally. I mean, what would
there.
you
We
say
get
was remaining?
$1,239.
1,200?
Is that something we can do with the tractor? I don't know. I'm not gonna get on and try, or no, it's too,
Well, it's spreading asphalt and,
I don't know if we can.
no, I meant
compact
like
it.
actually digging the pathway.
we don't have a bucket like that. you know.
Okay.
Um,
All right, so I don't know what pricing goes on.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's worth reaching out to
Looking
DBL or,
DLB,
DLB.
I mean, Mike Grace, who owns Hudson Paving, he
Yes.
lives in town also. I mean, who else?
yeah, it's worth reaching out to one of them, at least getting a price on it. I mean,
Okay,
can't hurt.
Right.
all right, I'll reach
Okay.
out to Mike and Dana and see what we can get.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And
That's-
so our new impact fees that we got in are, we have $66,610.76 new impact fees need to be used or encumbered by October 28th, 2028. So 66,000.
Keep that in mind.
And then I did all the research on when we put in the pickleball courts, what you can and cannot do
Yep.
with the impact fees. So we can't fix the tennis courts, you can't repair something, but you can add on or build new, and it's based on your population and different types of things, how much space per resident, and like with the pickleball courts, we actually qualified for 2 more. We just didn't have the space. So I know there's been talk about putting in a smaller playground somewhere. As of January 2025, or maybe it went in 2024, you can expand your playground without having to do anything new. You're now required to make it ADA compliant, which means those 3-foot wide paths leading to every piece of equipment and around, which is going to significantly impact what you can, you know.
Price point's gonna be
What, yeah,
sky high.
what you can put in. I mean, we can't replace the slide, the broken
Just knowing the
slide.
cost of that slide, I don't think we can afford a new playground with
No,
that 66 grand.
No, but if we don't get that 3,600 organizations applied for the grant I applied for, if we don't get it, and maybe we can get the dock with impact fees there, the planning is already done, it's expansion, it's, we've already done all the costing, and then think about maybe what else. You know, maybe we can get a third outdoor court, but we have till 2028, but it's the process. You see how long it took to do the pickleball court, so we need to look at our CIP and I can look through to the whole impact fee thing and see what areas would qualify for something based on our population too, if you want me to do that.
The next item being the ropes course, that might be a good opportunity to expand those basketball courts with the little
Yeah.
ropes course coming down.
Then if we want to expand the playground at Darrow, because the high course is coming down,
Yeah.
That little section we're talking about.
take the trees down, we have so much more room.
So, yeah, what I wanted to bring up with that, so unless you were, and you weren't officially notified, we haven't been notified by the school that they are not, using it anymore. I saw it in a meeting, but before that, I think I told you guys, I got phone calls from Coach K and from Tom Anderson out in Indiana and from Ryan Chassie saying, hey, what's going on over there? We heard that it's coming down and they're not using it. And I was like, oh, we haven't been told. But then I did see it in the school board meeting. So even though they haven't reached out to us, it is official. The ropes course, their inspection expires in June. So, yeah. It was last
Yes,
June
it is
that
every
it went
summer
up.
they come
It's,
through,
yeah,
yeah.
it has to be done every year.
Yep.
I did check with Kim to ask her, what Primex or what liability there would be for keeping a ropes course up there. That is not inspected, so it can't just stay there. So I don't know if and then the low course, you can't keep anybody off there unless we like put a metal fence around that low course. So do we need to be thinking about when we would want to see that come down? It can't stay up
Well, whose
Yeah.
responsibility is it to take it down?
the schools.
The school, so I think we have to put the school on notice that they need to have it down by a certain date.
That's why I wanted to bring that up. And I know taking the high stuff down requires a lot more than the low stuff, but the inspection does, expire and then tree falls and you got something up there that's weak and then it comes down. I just don't want it to be a liability on us that we allowed to keep something uninspected up there. But I know that the school's probably gonna need some time to hire.
Yes, we put up
someone.
a sign before it closed. It sounds like we probably need to do that by the end of June, just say closed.
I think you put up signs, because Kim,
There have been signs up for
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
years. Yeah,
Because you
you really
used the guy
can't
from
keep
Wally
people-
World, right?
yeah.
you like, people
falling
aren't
apart.
supposed to be
They were
running
laminated
around
and
under
stapled
there,
up. They're
but you
falling
can't
apart.
prevent them from doing it. And there's so many people who go under there and don't even realize there's ropes course above them.
Mm-hmm.
It expands a lot.
Well, remember, you and I didn't even know that whole lower part
Oh, yeah.
existed until we went out there and they showed it to us.
So just something to keep in mind that, I know the school hasn't reached out to us, or maybe we can,
I think we need to
You
give
and
the
I can
school a
reach-
deadline, or it's gonna drag and drag
agree.
and drag.
Yeah.
I would agree.
You know, I think the town drafts something saying it has to be done by a certain date.
so that's something to think about. And I don't know, the school might be able to take down some of the low stuff themselves. They're gonna have to hire someone for up above, but we can't just leave it all there uninspected and not used, and we could use that property. So, I don't know what you think for a date, I just know the inspection goes into June. I sent a copy of the inspection with the date on it, the expiration date to Kim also, so she's.
Tell Cutter, he's gotta have it down by the end of this week.
We know you have the money in the budget.
So,
Get your
Take it
blowtorch out.
So, Kim would send that email, will you send that email?
I could
Yes.
send that email to Kim. I'll work with Kim to get something drafted up.
yeah, so I think you were CC'd on the email, just so you knew, and then a copy of the certificate.
All
I
right.
just don't wanna let it go and then something happens, we have a storm, something falls on it, and it should have been removed
Moved
because
there.
we knew it wasn't gonna be used and that it hadn't been inspected.
It's too bad they didn't go on with it. We put a lot of work cleaning out all the land. I mean, Highway
I can't
Department did
remember
a
what
lot of
Kevin
work.
said, the amount of, I know. And the budget, backed it because of all the work we'd done with the school and.
Yep.
And then we were the last part to get that cleared out so that it did pass inspection and then it just,
Yep, a lot of hard work went into it.
well, that's my thing. If they don't want it, that's fine. They don't wanna
Yeah.
maintain it. But the fact that they wanted it and then we used taxpayer money to clear out that whole area and,
Mhm.
and then it's like, oh, nope, sorry.
Yep.
But I just wanna make sure we don't end up spending money like that again without
Yeah,
being
for sure.
I should say.
Yeah, we appreciate all the work you guys put into that. I know it's frustrating. All right, moving on, another new business ad, just as a quick update. So I'd been discussing with Peter the management of the calendar. So if anybody's ever looked at the back end of the calendar, adding dates or anything, adding what's the word I'm looking for? Events into the calendar. It was a little hard to see, it was a little hard to determine what was going on with it. Everything was under one calendar for the Litchfield facilities. So what I did is I went ahead and I made a separate sub-calendar for each of the different properties and
Oh, wow, nice.
each of the facilities that we do have available for reservation. You know, so we got like the softball fields, the outdoor basketball courts, town hall, they all have their own calendars. They're all color coded, so, and you can turn them on and off individually, so, you know, it'll make, I think, looking at it a little bit easier.
So what do you have, little radio buttons you can click?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you're in there, the only caveat to it is that the calendar that actually gets pushed to the town website is that facilities calendar. So when you create an event in the subfolder, you have to invite that other calendar into it and then go into that other calendar, accept it, or else it's gonna be crossed off on the calendar.
But if you-
I'm not gonna touch that.
So if you do it in the main one, does it push it to the sub or?
No, because it's not gonna get color coded like that.
So you have
invite
to
the calendar.
do it in the sub and then
Yeah,
push it.
push it up there. So I mean, it's a little bit of extra work, but it should make at least looking at the calendar a little bit easier. Like, do you have it pulled up there?
I don't have the subs as an option.
You don't?
No. This is just the
What are
messy
the
master
other
one.
calendars down there? I don't have my, can you scroll down there?
That's as far as it goes.
Try to use that. All right, well, I'll take a look at it on my computer again when I'm back in front of it, but it should all be there and available. Maybe it's just my view, I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
That sounds like a good way to organize it.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Another new business item. Talking with Jason the other day at the field cleanup down at the playgrounds. What he mentioned for the Conservation Commission is they make a general motion for the total budget of the maintenance up ahead of the game at the beginning of the year. That way there's no going back and forth. You know, if something comes up, they need to maintain it. He was recommending we probably do the same thing. That way, if something comes up, we can just approve it real quick.
So we give you
Yeah, so I think
permission,
our
like up to
budget line item for that is
$1,000.
$1,000.
Didn't we already have that in the bylaws?
We had 500 at one
Yeah,
point.
for the head chair to do, but I don't think it's gone above that.
But it's kind of like, we spend so much time, we need screws for the grates.
Yeah.
$2.86. Like if, you know, things like that, if we clump it under one set amount, that you can just go and pick up whatever it is that we need. I think it makes it more efficient for us too, instead of $20 for this thing for maintenance or,
But see, I thought we already had that.
We do up to $500.
Yeah, we
We
do
have
up to
up to
500.
So we wanna go higher than 500?
Yeah, I think the line item budget is 1,000 for that.
No, okay.
Yeah, I'll make
Yeah.
that motion.
because then I remember electrical covers and then, like,
Yeah, the sign.
it's just like, we shouldn't have to wait for a meeting and then for
I'll make
things
a
like
motion
that.
to approve the chair to expend funds up to $1,000 for maintenance.
I will second.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those abstained, passes 6-0-0. And the last new item, just something that Judy and I noticed working with Jay and, what was the other guy down there from the conservation?
Matt?
Matt. Conservation Commission has these nice bright yellow Conservation Committee shirts when they do events.
Oh.
So it might be
You can
nice
spot
for,
them.
yeah, for the rec committee to have the same thing when we're out there cleaning up fields or running events like the fishing derby or, anything like that.
Spirit of Litchfield event.
Yeah, we don't have a specific estimate for those shirts yet, but I think
I would approve it if Gannon's face could be on it.
And says,
Pink.
And then hot.
I thought we were doing a statue.
Just like a silhouette, a Gannon silhouette.
yeah,
I think it is good for us to be visible when we're out there
yeah.
doing stuff or at events, so people know who to.
So I can run point on that and get some estimates for shirts. I know somebody that provides apparel.
We did start looking at them, and I got some samples of short sleeve ones several years ago when Steve was in, and then I don't know what happened, and we never approached it again, and I had just bought the samples myself off Amazon, and I donated them.
Where did Conservation get theirs?
I have to ask Jason, but they got long sleeve with sunscreen, like the
Sunblock?
block built in, but they're nice and light, and it just says Conservation Commission, and they got the bright yellow, but you could spot them.
Yeah, look nice. All right, moving on to old business. Update on the LMS lacrosse at Roy Memorial Park. Peter, you think you're going to reach out to them, right?
Yep, so reached out to inform me, LMS, heard back from him, looking to set up a time for a call, but I've not connected with him, so that's with me to speak to them about that.
Are we still getting complaints from softball, or?
Haven't yet. I know,
Has softball started?
not there, the
No.
rec league hasn't. The school
Yeah.
was down there last night,
Yeah.
and I know lacrosse was there at the same time. It
But there's,
seemed to be a problem, but
well, didn't lacrosse show up last night and middle school was playing?
the middle school lacrosse or the middle school softball.
Middle school softball was playing and I saw a lot of lacrosse people show up and leave.
There must have been a
I thought they were
miscommunication
practicing
because I was at GMS yesterday. I helped Al get the field ready for the baseball game. And
There was a miscommunication with the softball.
Derek, is that the guy that does the fields and stuff down there, like the mowing, whatever his name is? He had lined the field and gotten it all ready, the softball field.
Saw that, yeah.
So I wonder if they were supposed to play there but didn't get the memo?
They reached out to.
Because the field was all ready.
Say
It
that
was all
again? Say that again, where?
So,
GMS.
yeah, so what happened was they found out early on Monday morning that the game actually got moved from Tuesday to Monday.
Correct.
Supposed to be tonight, it got moved to
Correct.
last
Correct,
night.
so what happened was, I don't know what happened on that side, I know immediately the coach of middle school reached out to the president of LGSL and said, can we use it, and they were all good to go, so I don't know if there was communication missed from the standpoint of
Got it.
Yeah,
schools getting a different field ready, I know tomorrow they're gonna be using GMS.
Okay.
Because-
it was already all lined up, ready to go.
Yeah, cause softball's starting really, I think the big
Softball,
first
I
night's
think
tomorrow night.
practice is tomorrow night,
Recs
yeah, and then
gonna
all three
start.
fields are in use.
Yep.
So,
So there's gonna be an issue very quickly about softball and lacrosse. And I know they have a tournament coming up, and I know that the temporary fences, they bought new ones, and they're going to install them.
Mhm.
So,
Has lacrosse always played
No.
at?
never
the-
played there before, this
This
is
is the
brand.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't remember these conflicts. I
So-
remember way back before we had Sawmill, and that's why Sawmill was built with those fields, because Dara couldn't have softball and soccer. We didn't have lacrosse back then, or when Sawmill went in around the time lacrosse started, I think.
LMS has just recently added in boys and girls lacrosse.
Okay,
at the
so
middle
that's
school.
why.
I think last year it was a half season, or was that 2 years ago it was a half season? Might have been half season for boys last year,
Okay,
and now they have boys and girls this year.
okay.
but the request for to use talent is because they can bus kids to the high school and then walk down and have to get them over to
Just
Sawmill, I think.
And there's nothing behind GMS that's big enough to be lined?
No. If they do a little bit of work to that field at Campbell, the one over by Willie Park for voting, remember you laid it on top of that
Or
one?
the football field.
Or the football field, they could just do a little bit of brush cleaning and they could get it in.
I think the more school teams we have on our property, the more the price of maintaining our property is going to go up.
Yes. I mean, especially depending on how you put that field, you're either gonna completely have the field in the 8U infield, or if you shift it, you're gonna cut all 3 infields.
Yeah. But like that area gets used for soccer, it gets some wear and tear that
Tear,
it
yeah,
wouldn't
in the fall.
for softball. But then you put lacrosse on it, and the next season you're having more wear and tear on the part that was mostly just watered and mowed that we have to do the
And the
repairs.
whole area inside the track at the high school.
That
is
could
big
fit it
enough
also,
to
yeah.
fit.
It would fit?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they have the football field area, they have the track area that fits. It does not fit inside of a baseball field. We
It does
tried
not.
that, does not fit in that. So the only other land they have over at Campbell's was that little, where they do practice for football, on that
Yeah.
side over by where we park for voting. You dropped it on that one, they'd have to clean some brush in a corner, I think it was, in order to get that one to work.
So must be Campbell's using the football field for
That's what I'm
their
thinking,
lacrosse.
for varsity and JV,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they
So
can't
they-
do it.
Yeah.
And then the other spot we looked at was the little grassy area at LMS. You know, the
It's not
one
big
where,
enough.
and that's not big enough, but that was really close too, if on one side of it, if
Close-ish.
they, yeah.
And Brickyard? No?
Well, I think what it is for them is how do they get the kids there safely after school?
Well, if they're busing him over to,
No, the buses
Campbell.
are going from LMS to Campbell
Campbell, so
anyway
they
to
get
pick
out
up
of
the high
Campbell
school
and then
kids.
walk over.
Yeah, so
so,
they get out and walk.
but they could just drive down, what's that street? Is it Nesson or, and do the drop at Brickyards and
The
go,
buses?
and then bang a left.
It won't
and
fit
go-
at Brickyard, you
They
laid it
won't.
It
out.
won't fit at.
Oh,
So
okay.
they'd have to go to Sawmill, so they'd have to take a
Okay.
bus that would drop them off at Sawmill. Which we do have buses that go that way.
You can't walk on a bike path?
It's at a mile and a
That's
half,
it.
2
That's
miles,
Yeah, I know, like for
What?
baseball, they walk,
through the woods, right?
no, it's too wet, so they walk out to Pinecrest, down Pinecrest, and then up 3A
Oh, really?
with their baseball bags and,
Yeah.
yeah.
The sidewalks the whole way, but still
But
carrying all
still,
that
it's a
equipment.
But
lot.
I think your
Have their
baseball
backpack on the
equipment
front
is
and their
heavier
baseball
than
bag on the back.
lacrosse.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
What's that?
Gets them in shape.
I think your baseball bags are heavier than,
Lacrosse
it's
bag.
crazy.
Yeah, especially if you're catching.
but
Hopefully you're
if it's an issue of busing, there's gotta be buses that go down Albuquerque.
There are, but I think it's like the kids have to ride their
They're,
respective buses home, right? So if they're, you know, you've
Well,
got buses that are going to the south end of town, for the kids that live down there, they'd have to then
So
get
then
on the
the
other.
I know
kids
when the
going-
softball girls go to Campbell and walk over, there's multiple buses they can get on. They told them the bus numbers they could actually
Yeah.
get on in order to go do it. So it'd probably be the same thing for the lacrosse boys and girls to get down to Sawmill.
But-
Hey, it's bus number.
unless you have 40 kids, extra kids on a bus, and
Yeah.
you don't have enough for the actual route.
The majority of the buses I see in town don't have many kids on them whatsoever.
Well, that's not for us to solve.
No.
Nope, but, I mean, I think we can give them access to Sawmill if it's not being used. I don't know what the calendar shows.
Yeah.
Then the logistics is on them. I mean, we're still giving them a field to go use.
Yeah.
So is there a date that we want to make sure that we communicate with this guy? Like, it's coming soon.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna start being a problem like immediately.
Well, the other thing too is with, you get rain and things get rescheduled,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you can have an overlap too.
Yep.
I mean, I'd love to have enough fields where we can say, oh yeah, everybody can come and play, no problem with scheduling, but
You know, as a rec commission, we want to see all the kids being playing sports, and how do we get them to use fields, school or
right, but I don't
rec
wanna
program.
tell girls softball, well, boys can have baseball fences because it fits for you, but you can't have them because we have to put middle school across there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's kind of not fair either.
I would agree with that, and I think we just didn't realize how big the size of the field needed to be when we approved
Yeah,
them. We might have jumped the gun on that a little bit, and but if I remember correctly,
well, we did it in good faith, wanting to help them out.
I think Litchfield
Not
lacrosse
realizing.
starts at 4:30, I think, down at Sawmill. It's either 4:30 or 5.
Oh, it's not after school?
I don't remember. No, it's, no,
no, this is
Litchfield
rec.
lacrosse, the rec
Oh,
lacrosse.
oh, okay.
So if they can work with them and make that work, that would be ideal.
As a commission, maybe we should start looking at having another multi-use field in town.
Where are we gonna put it?
Next to river access, there's 6 acres.
Who owns it?
The town, we rent it right now.
We rent it to
McQuestion's
the
been
farm.
doing a great job, great stewards of the property, keeping it going. They rent, I think, for $900 a year,
Yeah.
which is a great use of it, you know, keeping it
Yeah.
farmed, keeping it clean, keeping it
Yeah.
maintained. But I mean, that'd be 6 acres of,
6 acres. How big is Brickyard?
Andy?
I can't remember. I measured.
I default to you every
So,
single time, so.
That's town property.
It's town property.
Could that be, I'm just throwing this out there, could that be sold so we can buy a better, bigger piece of property? Or is it all, if it's something sold, like when our sink was sold from Talent Hall, we had to give the money to the town, not to rec? I don't know. Well, the whole
don't even-
That's a
Brickyard,
bigger board of selectmen. I don't know
yeah,
who
but
actually
that whole
owns it.
Brickyard area is just a
Because
big
that's,
cluster.
It's a
that's
and a mess,
rec, is
yeah.
that rec property or conservation? How did river access go? It's rec property, but conservation,
It's conservation, maintained for recreational activities.
right, so I think the rest of the land next to it is also conservation land.
Yeah.
We'd have to
Maybe
look
we
into it.
trade them Parker Park for that. Swap.
Well,
But I'm just thinking of it, it's right on 3A, it's an open spot, right? It has
Yeah.
great loam on it whatsoever. I don't know what the regulations are about pulling water out of the Merrimack to irrigate a field, right? But you could have irrigation pretty
oh,
close
well, if you
there.
ever kayak down there, you see
Oh, there's plenty.
people have their
yeah.
stuff, they irrigate out of there.
But I'm just thinking from
Oh.
building a field, it might be the cheapest, because we don't have to clear land, you don't have to do anything
Yeah.
from that standpoint. Yeah, you're gonna have to grade it, but in the way, you know, lacrosse is growing in town, soccer,
Yeah.
flag football, I mean, we have so many multi-use growing, do we look at trying to expand our portfolio of fields? Just something to chew on.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to try him again tomorrow?
Yeah, well,
Figure that out. All right, discussion around the CIP submissions. So I know we talked about it a little bit last meeting, mentioned some of the stuff we had on there last year. Is there anything new that we wanted to add?
Is Painting Talent Hall on there, or is that included as part of, we had done like a broad scope thing at Roy Memorial of improvements.
I think we talked about like a vestibule area, and a floor repair, but
Yeah.
I don't think any painting was.
And I think you pull up there and we forget that there's been graffiti there for 7 years, and it's been, I think, almost 20 years since it was painted.
I thought we had asked for a quote on painting, I thought we got one.
I think,
somebody asked Bob last.
I think we
Bob was
could, it
gonna
might
get
be
us a quote
something
back.
where we can get donations and
part-
some help.
But isn't that part of like the 40,000 we put out to the voters, or 50,000 we put out to the voters?
It could be used for that.
Could be used.
Yeah.
But I think we could probably get some paint donations. I just would like to see that on CIP, and I think
Yeah, be
we
nice to
might
put
be
some
able,
lipstick
like
on that thing.
a company came and brought their scaffolding and everything last time. It's actually LGSL paid for all the paint for Talent Hall.
Oh, really?
Yep. And because it was such an eyesore, you know, it was cinder blocks with graffiti, but I
And
would
yet the
like
fire
to-
department washed it for you, right?
Yep, fire department pressure washed it, and Lowry Construction brought over their scaffolding, and then volunteers painted the lower part, and they went up and did, it didn't cost what you think it would cost, but I'd like to at least, you gotta get rid of that graffiti, you know what I mean? You don't even notice it anymore.
So,
It's just.
do you have the,
we could
from
add
last
that.
year, because this is here? You
Yeah,
sent it
sorry, I
out.
sent it around just at the start of the meeting, so there's both a list as well as the actual submission. Community center, talent floors, playground sawmill, tennis courts, play mill at Durham. And we had the vestibule.
Can we add painting, the outside of talent to that? Is anybody
Yeah, so-
opposed to that?
Is it more than $50,000?
Probably not, right?
No.
Most of the stuff in the CIP, at one point, the threshold was $50,000.
Yeah, I would think of that as like big project. I think painting is maintenance, right, and something we have to do to upkeep.
To-
I think
yeah,
that would
we
fall
need to
within our
upkeep,
maintenance
just like
fund,
if-
repair and
You know, if
maintenance.
somebody spray painted on
mean,
this building, it
could-
wouldn't
if
sit
you add
there
in
for
the-
6 or
if you add in
7
the-
years. If there were
I don't know what they
graffiti,
call it,
you know?
when they refill
Oh,
the joints
they,
on the blocks, what do they call
Reflash it,
No,
point it.
repointing, yeah, if you add that to the painting, because that's all, there's a lot of repointing that needs to be done, plus the
Could
painting.
get up there, but I don't
Could
think
be
it's
up there.
$50,000.
Well, we're probably gonna have to get new grates, all those new grates that you went around and tried to fix last year that are rusted out and coming unscrewed. Do we need a new door on that side where it's leaking or just floor?
I don't think it was the door, I think it's leak, at least the, was it the engineer? I think it was the engineer, somebody looked at it, and said it was that's part of the repointing, it's leaking through the block.
So you're saying it has to be something worth?
$50,000 or more is the threshold to get it onto the CIP.
Well, I think if we had professionals come in and remove graffiti, pressure wash, paint, remove the grates,
easily
put on the
50.
new grates, I think we can do it for less, but I think it could be a
Yeah, I just wonder if that's more of, again, our,
regular maintenance.
yeah, regular stuff
It
that we
really,
should
it
be
should
doing.
be, but it's been.
It should be, but if the dollar value gets too high than the coffers we have, right?
Right.
Then we're gonna have to go do it. But it definitely, something has to be done with it. If we're gonna keep it for a while, because last time we
Yeah.
brought it to the voters, we were shot down.
Well, paint will do a lot for it,
If you repoint and paint, it's gonna help it a lot.
and get rid of the graffiti, and we could ask fire to pressure wash. So if it's not something that you put on the CIP, then don't, just maybe we keep in mind, we should,
Well, I think step one is probably understanding the costs better.
Yeah.
You know, if we, certainly if it soars above that, then it's.
like,
worth
I
that
think if we
conversation.
hired all these professionals to come pressure wash it and remove graffiti and paint and whatever else needs to be done, but I think fire might be willing to, but you're right, it's maintenance and we should be maintaining it.
Well, I guess the way again, I'm new to this, so the way I would think about the CIP is future projects.
Okay,
The painting, if that has to happen today, it happens to happen today, and that's the $50,000 that we have
Yeah,
yeah.
already approved
Okay.
by the voters to
Yeah.
make maintenance. And if it goes above that, then maybe we gotta put it as a CIP down the road.
yeah.
If we
We
find.
have a subject matter expert sitting on the commission with us.
Well, he's already agreed to go and look at it.
Good.
So that,
Okay.
that shouldn't be a problem. All right, tennis court cleanup date, so that happened this past weekend. Judy, myself, Jay, and a few others were down there, cleaned up the tennis courts, we got the new nets installed. Everything's looking good down there.
Pulled up all the weeds.
Yep. The floor repair at Talent Hall, so I did meet with one of the contractors I reached out to this past week. Haven't received a quote from him yet, but as soon as I do, I'll update that. So I asked him for 2 quotes. One to replace the beam that's rotted underneath, and then a second one, for the floor repairs, in the area. So pickleball had gone around and marked a bunch of the dead spots, with painter's tape, so at least we were able to see that. So once I get those quotes in, I'll update everybody.
Have we looked at what the cost would be to put the same exact type of floor that we had in there?
Yeah, we got quotes on it, a while back.
Okay.
I don't have them in front of me, but we were talking about a few different options, whether it would be a new oak floor or
Yeah,
new
I
hardwood.
remember that, putting the rubber down in different ways. I
Yeah.
just didn't know if we had one in
Yeah.
kind.
And, yeah, depending on what that comes back at, it might be worth a conversation with somebody like an actual flooring company to see what that might be.
So the cost on the CIP says 200,000, so I don't know if that's.
It wasn't that much.
The
Yeah.
quote or
It
not.
wasn't that much. No, that was a rough estimate from a few of us. Shed repair, the roof is done.
It's completed.
Looks great.
Great, yep, they did a good job.
Shed's
Do
done,
we
and the
need-
dormers are done.
Do we need to, approve payment on that? I know we approved the amount.
We already
just the-
approved the amount. I sent it to the invoice to Karen, and she took care of it.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
so we don't have to.
Nope.
approve
We
that.
already had it allocated, and we had it encumbered from last year.
So when I looked at that, it looks great. would you guys, mind if I looked into seeing if we can get someone to replace the door on that? Or build a new
Sure.
door and ramp for us, and maybe we would supply the wood?
Sure.
And, 'cause that hole in the bottom's getting bigger and the ramp is really just you fall through. And then that shed will be in good shape. It's almost not worth locking the door because you can crawl in or kick it in. Are you guys okay if I see if we can find someone in town who'd be willing to help out with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Does anybody know who the long posts belong to in there? They're like,
The wooden post.
yeah, they're really long. It looks like if you cut them in half, you would have signposts. And they're stacked up in the center. I don't remember them being in there in the fall when I put the trash barrels away.
Are they,
They're not ours?
are they the old poles that were part of the foundation for the skating rink?
No, that all got thrown away.
They got thrown away, but I mean,
No,
were
this
those
looks like
poles
it's in
stored
good
somewhere
shape.
else?
Cause I was tripping over them and when I was pulling out trash cans and I'm like, I
They
don't
look new?
remember them. I don't know if they look brand new, but I honestly don't remember them being in there in the fall when I put all the trash barrels away.
What if it was something that, Christmas in Litchfield used?
Oh, you know,
Archway or something? Did they have
yes,
a big
they had
post
to
on?
do something to support something different this year, so it might be,
Could be theirs,
Yeah.
and they just put it in
how do
there.
you say that? I bet it was. They might have used them to create
All
walkways.
right.
All right, so I'll look into the door thing and maybe we can find someone to.
All right. Moving on to other business, some upcoming events and dates. The New Hampshire Fishing Game, Learn to Fish, was this past weekend, May 10th. From what I hear, Harry did a great job. The kids were enthralled and they went out and fished, caught some fish.
I think that's the second date, May 10th.
This is the second
Oh,
date.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. May 10th.
But one did happen this weekend.
Yeah, one did happen this
So
weekend.
this is the second one.
Yeah.
So, all right, so this is the second one then, May 10th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. down at Dara. The fishing derby is May 17th, and that's going to be at Parker Park, so register for that.
Do we need to order the porta potties, or do we
I think it's
know?
already been ordered.
Yeah, we've already,
I think it's already
yeah,
been ordered, right?
we already gave,
Yeah.
the
We already gave
information
them
to
the heads
Kim.
up on it. And then another event, the veterans group in town is hosting a family night at the Fisher Cats. It's gonna be July 19th. They're trying to get, as many families in town to attend as possible. The kids are gonna have the opportunity to go down on the field and wave the big flag at during the national anthem. They'll be able to stand at the dugouts and high-five the players as they run out onto the field, all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested, reach out to the veterans group. They can help with tickets.
There's a QR code on the poster that they have for it. You can just zap that and get that also, yeah.
Perfect.
They're putting a lot of effort into it. They're hoping to get 2,000 people.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And upcoming emails we have for April, Andy, and for May, Jeff, but I think, was that the one we were moving?
No, I switched
already-
it.
that's-
over.
yep, it's already
Okay.
Yep.
All right, perfect. And our next meeting dates are May 13th and May 27th. Anybody have anything else to add?
I want to do a shout out to Bill Moran for bringing over his professional equipment, cutting down all the dead limbs hanging over the playground, that were in danger of falling. Cut them all down, he cleared them all out of there. If you look up, you'll see where he cut everything, but you wouldn't even know that he was there. That's not something we ever could have tackled on our own, so
That's great.
that's a good thing to have done. And Tim's Turf, again, I don't know how many years he's donated the playground mulch.
Mhm.
So we appreciate that.
Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we are closed, 6:00. Thank you very much, have a great night.
I probably won't be at the next 6 meetings,
Okay.
just 'cause baseball.
Yeah.
We have Tuesday and Thursday night game, or Tuesday and Friday night games. Tuesday, Fridays.
There was a lot of Friday last year in Pelham that we did. I felt like every Friday night we had a game.
So
Under the lights, which was cool.
that is cool.
Kids really enjoyed it.
The lights? What are the lights?
Yeah, Pelham has
Pelham
lights.
has lights,
So,
yeah.
remember we used to do softball? If you go all the way around back, that's where the baseball field is. They
Yeah.
have a great setup with lights. Played a lot of games there last year.